In Oregon, a warehouse of pot waiting to be sold.
Oregon grows way more weed than it can consume.
In California, an empty grow room that was meant to house plants, now abandoned by its owners.
You know, you gotta know when you cut your losses.
It's been more than a decade since Colorado and Washington became the first states to legalize recreational marijuana. Since then, 19 states have followed. But along the West Coast, which dominated the production of high-quality marijuana before legalization, the market is teetering.
Everybody from the retail side to the grower side within cannabis circles will talk about a race to the bottom.
One big problem: too much weed. Oregon regulators reported in February that the state was sitting on 3 million pounds of unused cannabis.
Wonderful experiment. Oregon, unlike other states, had a system of basically unlimited licenses, which encouraged a large number of people to get into the cultivation side.
The oversupply is slashing revenue in Oregon. In California and Washington, income that was already heavily taxed dropped as their gluts grew. Wholesale prices have recovered somewhat after plunging in California, but inflation is gouging operators' bottom lines.
I don't know any companies that are really making money, and the most successful companies tend to be the ones that were able to raise the most capital and survive the longest downturn, and we'll see how long, you know, the biggest ones can hold out.
Oversupply is good news for customers who are buying at low prices, and tax revenues from pot are still robust. Still, many farmers and retailers are scraping by or leaving the industry.
And there's a Blue Dream OG on the shelf over there. And
some of the oversupply problem can be chalked up to a bet gone awry.
What set up the supply-demand issue was, first of all, probably an expectation that federal legalization wasn't that far behind.
There is little movement from a fractured Congress on that front, or on banking and taxation reforms for pot businesses. The industry is urging the Biden administration to approve trade among states that have legalized the drug, though those prospects are also slim.
I'd say I don't know if I would have, really been all in or done this really if I would have known it was going to take this long for federal legalization to happen.
So for now, the oversupply remains trapped within the states, and that's tempting farmers to seek illegal markets across the country.
The farms, put in this position, they needed to do something, they needed money. They were either going to die or get creative, and a lot of people chose to get creative.
At an indoor farm in Washington, the next generation of pot is being tended. Being first, Washington limited the number of licensees and barred outside investment in hopes of avoiding a crackdown by the federal government. Now, industry players say Washington will not be able to scale up when marijuana is legalized nationwide.
We're just sitting here kind of idling our capacity, if you will.
While things in Washington aren't as bad as in Oregon and California, many here are still pinning their hopes on federal action.
I don't think marijuana, like alcohol, is ever going anywhere. How do we manage this now the right way in the future for the whole country and not just a state-by-state level?
Alan Breed, Associated Press.